Welcome back to the Comics Aficionados live right here on Thinking Critical YouTube. We've got some sad news to pass around, and we definitely have a special guest here. So mixed emotions on this one. I know a lot of you, unlike myself, are friends with Skipntosh. Curtis Fisher was his real name. He worked at Apple and stuff. We knew that he'd been sick for a long time. In May, he got diagnosed with cancer, and his battle's over. I tried to record a tribute for it. It wasn't going to work out. I couldn't stop breaking down. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that, but we will celebrate Skipntosh here. We're going to talk about the best comic books and movies because that's the kind of stuff that he really loved. Obviously, he was a big sports fan as well. We do have a couple people here on the channel, obviously knew Skip as well. I know Skip went up to your comic book shop more than once.
Yeah, it was awesome. He came on up. Oh God, I can't remember who he came with that one time, but it was another old school thinking critical guy, and we just hung out after hours. I gave him Aaron Meyer prices for some of the books he bought. If you follow that guy on Twitter, and it was a good time. We hung out, we smoked some J's, and he was a nice guy, and he likes. He liked comics. He likes alternative or indie comics, if you will, not necessarily just the mainstream. And he always said, was like, I got to get up there. I'm going to come on up there. And then he would get busy. And,
he wasn't like national neighbors. It was a trek for him to get to your shop. He was
for sure. Well, one time he went to a competitor and did not show up afterwards. So that made me cry a little bit.
Oh, my goodness. We forgive it.
Yeah, totally.
Also, I know, Josh, you were a pretty decent friends with Skipntosh behind the scenes. You know him probably like 3 years or something like that.
Yep.
Just really sad stuff, huh?
Oh, yeah. I think one of the things with Skip was just how positive he was. Like, the guy was always in a good mood and could typically find the best in things. So that's what I'm going to miss. That's what drew me to him to begin with, was his positivity. And then I had fun conversations with him. And even on here, we started joking that we'd make a really good tag team. So sad day.
There you go. And a lot of people wouldn't realize this. He'd been sick for a long time. Like, he was in a lot of pain even before I met the guy 5 years ago. But he always had a smile, and he wouldn't get into it for the most part. He just kind of talked about what he was into, talking about comic books and stuff like that. Love talking about movies and sports. So it's a huge loss. We'll certainly celebrate some of the stuff that Skip liked. We'll be talking about Jonathan Hickman and stuff like that. Does anyone else have anything they want to say about Skip before we kind of move on and start talking about some of the good stuff in life?
No, man. Just no. I just want to say, man, it's it really sucks and it's sad, and it makes, as I get older, I was very, what celebrity died? Who gives a shit? That type of stuff, when I was younger, and very, very jaded. And it's like, as you get older, you get jaded, but also as you get older, you start realizing there's only so much time, you know what I mean? So that's what I want to say.
And we will spend some of this time talking about some of our favorite stuff in tribute to Skipntosh, but we definitely got to give a big shout out to the special guest on the panel, Mr. Eric July, the man behind the Ripperverse. I believe he's a music artist. He's a YouTuber. He's a social media personality. He's probably an influencer at this point. He's certainly a comic book writer. He shows up on Fox News sometimes for plays. He's a political. Oh, what are you, a political thinker? Is that what
say? Dynamo. That's a good
political
word.
Dynamo. Eric July, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate that intro. That's about as good as an intro I'm gonna get anywhere. But nah, man, it's good to be here. It's fun to be here, and obviously I'm kind of riding on a high right now with the recent success of the second campaign for us, and just glad everybody's having fun and glad everybody's having a blast.
So if people are interested in ISOM number 2 and maybe you haven't checked out the website, there is a link in the video description if you want to check that one out. And I imagine you're having a lot of success. Now, when does this thing end? If people are kind of on the fence right now about supporting ISOM number 2.
They have some time. The pre-order window will end on the 27th of August. So you still got 2 months, but fulfillment for those first orders will start in, so technically like the If you want to say the day that it ends up on the shelf would be July the 31st. So you still have plenty of time. And how we do our stuff is that the limited items after the campaign won't be available, obviously, but you'll always be able to get ISOM in an ISOM issue, just like you can get ISOM 1 right now from our website. If that's something that you wanted to do, and that'll be same after this campaign, you'll still be able to get ISOM 2. It'll just be like some of the more limited, like covers and the CGC signature series stuff. That stuff wouldn't be available.
Very nice. So what's it feel like to be you have the highest, the most successful crowdfunded comic book in the world. Now you have the second highest crowdfunded comic book in the world in the history. That's pretty good.
It's interesting, man. I mean, it's like, I've said this a million times. I never expected to. I thought about this a million ways, and one of them was I'm going to make $3.7 million. So it just wasn't supposed to happen. It did show that this was a big, definitely for American comic books, there's still a demand for that. People are still enthusiastic about comics. It's just that you have to give them what it is that they want. So the fact that people responded, and I know with the first one, it was, we tried to give as much as we could to have the audience make an informed purchase, but they still got to get the book, read it, and still be interested in it. So for people to turn around, and then we are already at 1.5 million right now, closing in on 1.6, it goes to show that resonated with them, and they actually enjoy what it is that they got. And it's put me in a great opportunity to be able to work with folks whose work I'd admired, like Chuck Dixon and Saska Sisters, and a growing list of just talent. And that's the fun part of it. And everybody from Chuck to Saska's always speak about the community. They speak about how awesome our fans are and how supportive they are. And for them to be ground level as we continue to build this universe is awesome. I'm just glad that we're trying to inject some enthusiasm in this American comic book industry, and I think we've been somewhat successful there. And that's what it's about. The fact that people are having fun with comics is what's needed.
Absolutely. We're going to have a great panel day. We got some super chats we're going to get to in a second. We won't do the normal introduction because we're already somewhat into the show, and I think people want to hear from Eric. But if you're interested in Popeye culture from Josh, if you're interested in fantastic comics from Yul Carter or weird science comics from Jim, those YouTube channels are also linked in the video description. Definitely support those guys because they all have great stuff to do, all have different channels, but we're all inside of the same geek community. Let's hear for the people. Lade Kramer says, congrats to Mr. July and his team on their success.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Very nice. And he also says, also to Mr. Yule, I had a crap day yesterday. Thank you for the 15-minute conversation about some comics. It was the highlight of my day. Yule is awesome. So you made someone's day better, Yule.
Yeah, amazingly. Wait, it was longer than 15 minutes.
15 minutes was the only good part, he's saying.
It was like a one person fantastic comic show during that time. It was great. It was really it was good conversation because you can have the back and forth with just one person, and it's nice. It was cool. Great conversation. We're gonna do some business.
Absolutely. Callum Lyles says, I hate Secret Invasion and everyone in it. And did you know that Nick Fury is black? I had no idea. I thought the contents of one's character was important. I haven't watched Secret Invasion. I heard on some hand that it was okay, but then I also heard from Aaron Sparrow, someone I trust, that it was absolutely awful. Josh, you're the pop culture guy. Is it good?
It's all right. I mean, look, it's far better than what we've been getting. It did feel like they tried to make Samuel L. Jackson more black in how they wrote him. Like they added some swagger in there, but I mean, it's fine. Why not? But yeah, I think the biggest complaint people are going to have is that it's a slow burn. Like it's definitely a slow burn. So if you can't come in, if you need a lot of action, this is not that. It's more like that Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. They're going to try to just take their time, create tension. So if that's not for you, that's not for you.
We shall see. It's supposedly, it's a little bit of a different take, but I've heard it is very dialogue heavy.
It's super dialogue heavy. I mean, you can tell they're planting seeds, and hopefully it'll actually lead somewhere. We'll just have to wait and see, man.
Caleb says, on the positive note, I got to meet the actress who voiced Midnight from My Hero Academia. Her line was very long, and she's engaged to the guy who voices Dobby. Well, there you go. Man, can you imagine if this SAG or whatever, strike goes in, you won't be able to meet any of your favorite actors at Comic Cons or whatever. They're gonna have to skip them. That could be very detrimental. But I'm glad you got to meet the voice of Midnight from My Hero Academia, and you're in a more positive mood, Kyle, and hopefully you keep it that way. Steak Ball, Padel, you have no idea what you have done for me as a lifelong nerd. You have brought together people of all walks of life and restored the comic shop vibe that has been lost. God bless you all. Well, thank you very much. That's what we're going for here, Eric, as we try to get people together and have those conversations that we all miss inside the comic book shop when you're free to say whatever you wanted to and have a disagreement and still like each other at the end of it.
Yeah, that's what comics used to be about, man. We used to get in like the little fun, like kind of often even petty arguments about what was happening and versus what was not. And now, you get in an argument and you're going to be called racist or something.
Man, you think it's petty to have a conversation about whether or not Superman can be turned by a vampire? That shit seems important to me.
Exactly. To be fair, you're correct.
Absolutely. He's got pure UV energy in his veins. There's no way he could get turned. They'd kill a vampire as soon as they bit him. If they could get through his skin. There's all kinds of levels to that one.
Yep.
But we're glad you're enjoying the vibe and you get what the show is about, Steak Monk, because that's what we're here for, trying to do this every Saturday for you guys. Nerdy Girl Creates. Carrie, thank you so much. Hi, guys. I just wanted to give my condolences again. I know he loved old manga, loved basketball, Rip, Skip. Hope to hear your thoughts on all the companies dropping out of Comic-Con. I will probably talk about that in the upcoming days. Obviously, I talked about Marvel just a couple of days ago. I don't know if we'll have time for that today. But the Comic-Con, it's feeling like a big old skipperoonie for a lot of these companies lately. So it's probably bad news for San Diego Comic-Con. Fan Expo and some of these things, especially San Diego Comic-Con, since they built their entire identity, on the Hall H Marvel panel and all the biggest companies showing up to do their big teaser trailers and stuff, Josh.
So many people come for that, and it's like a curse and a blessing. Like partially, it's like, you know what? Hey, SDCC might be a little bearable if you want to go just kind of walk the floor and go through Artist Alley and check stuff out. At the same time, if you're going there to work it, like it's you're probably going to lose some money on that trip.
Yeah. Well, maybe to get more back into comics, but thank you so much for the condolences, Carrie. I know Skip. He was on the channel a lot, and I don't know, everyone just loved that guy. This is going to be a huge loss. Chris the Bliss, right here in the PI, somebody I've talked to, wants to know, hey, Eric, where can I apply as a colorist? Is there an opening? He wants to join the team.
Yeah, man. We've been getting a lot of those. I mean, we'll find you. We are hosting a actual fan art contest right now. Actually, that just went live like a day ago. So that's been an opportunity for us to kind of also scout talent. So yeah, we'll find you though. That's for sure. This company is growing fast, man. And I'm finding myself, I need some more guys that can do interiors. I need a cover here. I need this, and that. So yeah, hit us up.
Absolutely. Chris, just send me an email and I'll forward your information on to Eric and maybe he can get back to you when it comes to colorist opportunities for you there. Callum also says, Eric, if you want someone to design kaiju villains, I'm available. Hi again after Midnight's Edge.
Oh, shout out. That was fun.
Everybody's applying for jobs
man.
here.
Hey,
listen,
man,
Eric,
you'd be surprised.
I need a job too.
You'd be surprised the amount of like pros, man, that are like, I mean, because look, man, we the industry, the guys that are in it are very protective of it, but they also know the economics of it aren't the best. You know what I mean? That's the reality. Everybody knows that. They might not want to admit it publicly because they want to save their jobs and they don't want to risk maybe losing that. But one thing we do here at the Ripperverse has been said. Chuck Dixon has said it a million times publicly. Like, he doesn't just pay like quick. He pays like on the same day I submit the stuff. Like, we make sure our artists get paid. We make sure our writers get paid. If you do a commission for the Ripperverse, we make sure that you get taken care of, and we make sure that you get paid competitively. So I can totally understand why that would be attractive to anybody that just wants to just do what it is that they love.
Are you hiring a hype man? Because I think I got it.
How about a janitor? Do you need a janitor? That's about what I'm qualified
for. Hey, man, we got a warehouse, man. So, yeah.
When you're Eric July, you don't need a hype man, your own hype man. I get that. But, a lot of people are looking for opportunities, and kaiju villains are absolutely cool. Federico De La Casa says, hi, guys. Another real comic bro has passed away. For Eric, I wanted to buy your book, but being in Italy, it would cost me $80 for a 60-page comic. How could I find a more affordable way to buy, like a paperback or something? This is something I had the exact same issue, Eric.
Yeah.
When the first issue came out, people were asking me to review it. I was like, I'm in the Philippines, and I've got 3 kids. I can't just be spending $80 on a book like that.
Yeah.
So I won't be able to review it on the channel. I think they thought I was like dogging you or something, but it sucks when you're an overseas fan to try and support some of these projects.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've done a lot to fix that. I mean, we recently inked a deal with UPS, so our international rates are down significantly from the first one. The rate we changed those actually a while ago. They're not remotely the same. However, I think he's talking about like the fact that the book in itself it's a big book. It's 112 pages. You know what I mean? So it is a $35 book in itself. And, even though with shipping, I guess maybe you're talking customs and all that stuff, which I don't know if Italy has or is it 0 rated or if it's reduced rated in terms of their VAT tax. I'm not exactly sure. But I mean, it's other than maybe contacting if you do have a local comic book shop out there, we do have our own retailers portal that applies to international folks as well. So that may be a way to take it into consideration is get the book in someone else's store and they can get it directly from us. And that maybe be a way to try to limit the cost because, again, you wouldn't have to pay shipping and international fees and all that comes with it in terms of duties and taxes. But yeah, I mean, we're doing everything we can. I think we got them significantly low now. Nobody has been paying anything outrageous now for the apps for the actual shipping. And I would encourage you, if you guys bought like during the first campaign and you haven't been to the store since, we made a big announcement a long time ago about our reduced rates. The shipping is nothing near what it was during the first campaign. And that's the benefit of the growth and the negotiating power that you get after you sell 60,000 plus books, is you get to go to the parcel companies and say, you want the business or not? And then they have to make you a competitive rate in terms of the shipping. So if you haven't been there since the first campaign, go ahead and go back. It's completely different from what they were before.
Yeah, that's not like an Eric July problem. That's just a comic thing. The shipping, once you get overseas, is just absolutely ridiculous. Outside of like Amazon, I don't know how they pull it off. They must have a real sweetheart deal with all those companies.
Yeah.
Ideator says, Eric, you have to stop winning, sir. Your haters are getting worse. There's no floor for their IQs. Shouldn't be possible. This is how we get zombies. You're going to cause the zombie apocalypse.
I know, man.
By winning so much.
I'm sorry, man.
Mindless monsters.
We've even got like emails from like legitimately concerned people. Like the way that people like hate you is just irrational, and it is.
You got concern trolled?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I get concern trolled by. I got concern trolled by Comic Pro today about our fan art contest, which is harmless, but apparently that's a crime. Can't donate books to kids. That's a crime. There's nothing that I could do that I guess these people would find that would be harmless. But that's to be expected when you get in a spot like this and you kind of shake up a part of the industry. You have these people, gatekeepers and whatnot, or they think that they are, that do not like that you are in the position it is that you're in. So they're gonna all start taking shots at you. So I think we're over the target with what it is that we're doing. And look, man, ultimately it's for I don't do stuff to spite haters. I don't do that. I create material for our actual customers, and them getting upset is just a side effect.
Yeah. Count Crab Cake, which is a very good screen name. Glad to see Rippa in the house. Congrats on making bank. I think McFarlane once said, if you aren't making any enemies, you're doing it wrong. Stay focused. Success breeds a few haters, but it breeds even more fans.
Yes, sir. I agree. Appreciate that too.
Todd McFarlane, that guy knows what he's talking about. He's made a few enemies along the way, and he's got like an enormous toy company to go along with his comic books.
Yeah,
Should I be upsetting more people as a comic store owner then?
Yeah, you got no haters. That's why you haven't blown up yet. You got to get some more haters.
I've tried. I get into comments and I talk shit, but it just doesn't work.
You're too busy talking to people on the phone.
That's right. Yeah.
Don't answer the phone.
It's Lane's problem. It's my fault. I mean,
Jim from Weird Science literally has DC Publishing hating on him.
Yeah.
Now
why am I not so successful?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get it in the store. and then get it out of the store. You know?
Galileo says, and the scrolls are dumb. They spent 30 years in a power plant. And I wish I had Josh's positivity, but Marvel's dead. Not as dead as Star Wars. Man, a little kick right in the balls on Star Wars on the way out, huh?
I mean, it deserves
You
it.
ain't wrong.
To clarify, they haven't been in these power plants for 30 years. The rebels just recently started hiding there because they know humans can't necessarily go there and stay there. But
in the comic books, didn't the scrolls pretend they were a cow for like 5 years or something?
They were hypnotized.
Yeah, they believe they were cows for like a long time.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like they meant to do it. Yeah.
But it's not the most uncomic booky thing in the history of the world, right?
No, not at all.
On the scroll invasion.
I mean, well,
That's
that's
a
the
great
thing.
comic
I mean, that's like back in Marvel 60s hokey stuff,
Yeah.
you know, where their worst villain was a magician or something like that, you know.
Very nice. Ryan Wilson says, Eric, have you thought of either hiring creators or publishing books not related to the Rippaverse? You could give a big platform to people. RIP to Skip.
I mean, we've got asked that so many times. I think it's and I understand it. Like, I guess the infrastructure is attractive because we do everything ourselves, even distribute it. So I can totally get that. But you know, the Ripperverse was conceptualized to be a universe in itself. So everything that we would publish with the Ripperverse is going to be Ripperverse related. Now, depending on how things continue to grow and you know, and what my aspirations are in the upcoming years, do I make another different like wing that's not necessarily attached to the Ripperverse that can utilize that infrastructure to do stuff like that? I don't know. I'm not going to sit up here and say that I absolutely will do that. But for the Ripperverse, we're trying to keep it contained to exactly that. But, you know, the future, we can do whatever it is that we want. Me and my operations manager, we've talked about entertaining the idea of being like definitely for people that do crowdfund stuff, who don't quite understand how much work. Everybody gets overwhelmed really fast with that stuff because they realize, oh, I did all this creation, but now I got to ship the books, you know, and they don't actually, half of them don't even think about that aspect of it. So
you got to get the print file, you got to print the goddamn thing,
yeah, all that stuff.
You got to put it all together. The freebies included. You got to have a box that's going to make it there and not piss people off. There's logistics,
and that's what a lot of creatives don't actually consider. So, you know, me and my operations, we consider like maybe, you know, down the line, definitely once we start getting our own stuff, do we help them out? Like, say, you know, we'll take care of that aspect of it and have like a more distribution wing that is available to others. That's of course affordable for them, but you know, we can do that maybe in small batches for these guys who maybe have a campaign of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 items that they need to send. So we'll consider all options going into the future. The first thing was building that infrastructure for ourselves so we can be a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, it sounds like the Eric July needs to be able to fulfill his own books before he's going to be able to do everybody else's books. But not closing the door on anything. Smart business. Wakizashi's Tea House, Gray in the house. Hail West, and the best panel for Comics Talk. Rest in peace, Skipntosh. I was lucky to be on a couple of streams with him. Even more positive than me. Respect. Absolutely. The guy was the most positive person. He made Eric O'Sullivan feel like Doc when he was on the panel. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, why is Eric O'Sullivan so negative when he's next to Skipntosh? He was light the beam. They created that for Skip. So, absolutely. Mr. DC Comics says, question, why is it ground level characters like Batman and Captain America can always get decent movies, but when it comes to characters with powers like Superman and the Flash, they always suffer? Anime can do overpowered types. Well, it's probably you're less reliant on CGI and having to get the powers right to look cool on the big screen. But it's just, I think it's easier to relate to somebody that maybe doesn't have superpowers like Superman, although Captain America certainly has superpowers. I don't know. What is it, Josh? You're a filmmaker. You were writing scripts. What is this?
You know, it's this weird thing, especially when you go into Hollywood. There are people that have this opinion that superheroes or superhero movies are cheesy or corny. And I think when you get gritty street level characters, you can it's easier to find a way to approach them from a serious standpoint. And I think creators sometimes struggle to do that with people with powers because it's so extravagant. But I would say that something that's extravagant is kind of easier to zone down into something that's emotional and resonant and that you can connect with people with. So, I mean, look at Superman. I think he's the best example of that. What you can do. He's alien. He's got all the super strength, but he's more human than most humans. So
I think that it also goes with the very superpowered villains. When you end up having to face the villains, it gets a little over the top, and then you have to kind of deal with them in a different way than a street level deal. And that kind of goes a little wonky a lot of times as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We've gotten really good versions of Superman and Flash, on CW, at least the first few seasons of those. But it's because they weren't bringing in like Zod as the big villain at the end. It was.
But in the movies, they think they have to go so big with that, right? And then you get less of the humanized part of it and more of the dealing with a superpowered villain. I think that you lose a bit of that then.
Absolutely. Eric O'Sullivan, speaking of the Sultan of Soup, good morning, everybody. Hey, Rippa. Will you be doing comic conventions in the future to support your press, such as Boston Wicked Cod? Is really nice and fun. God bless you all. I'm blessed and grateful.
Well, we've already done. I mean, we did. Hell, I was doing cons last year. I mean, I think the first one as the Ripperverse launch was Anime Matsuri. And, I was when I first saw my first 2 Yaira cosplays. That was kind of crazy to see. And we just did Dallas Fan Expo. So we just did that. Maybe I do Anime Matsuri again this week. There's a bunch of other cons that we've been offered to go to. It sounds like San Diego Comic-Con needs some help. So maybe they can contact us and maybe we'll swoop on in and get some intrigue going there. But yeah, I'm willing to entertain that. It's just a hard thing to balance because a lot of guys, like with artists and writers, that's all it is that they do. So it makes a lot, and actors, that makes a lot of sense for them to do that. I'm like the owner of a company. So it's like, it's a little more difficult because I got so many other things that I'm balancing to. So you got to understand if I'm appearing at one of those, I'm like not doing something else. You know what I mean? So I want to do them, but we have to be kind of picky with how we do because we don't like depend. A lot of these artists and writers, they're going there, they depend on that stuff for money. I don't like. I'd be there specifically to interact with you guys.
Man, if you're at Dallas Fan Expo every year, I'm planning on being there in 2 years. My family and I are going to be in the U.S.
We did it twice, 2 years in a row. So let's do it.
Absolutely. Might do a little meetup in 2025.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah, make it a party.
All right, 2 years. 2 years.
I'm just looking forward to the hug from Drew. You know what I mean? I've been working out. I've been doing lunges.
Yeah, I was gonna say protect your buns when Drew hugs you.
Oh my.
He's a double grasper.
Oh my, indeed.
Callum says, I was watching clips of David Tennant as the Purple Man, and they're never going to make a show or make a villain like that ever again.
Probably.
Why is that, Josh? Well, they can't go that dark again?
Sorry, my internet dropped. What'd you say?
Well, elaborate. You sound like you had something to say.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just saying probably, and then my internet dropped. Yeah, probably. You're not going to because you're definitely going to have more freedom on Netflix to kind of get away with stuff than you are on Disney Plus. So, which might actually be changing because they're going to kind of merge Hulu and Disney Plus. We'll see. But I doubt you're going to see something that dark again.
We get a version of a mixed Disney Plus and Hulu here in the Philippines because there's no Hulu available. So like a lot of the FX stuff that's available on Hulu is actually on Disney Plus here, and it doesn't really change anything. It's perfectly fine together. It's better that way. I get to watch, Justified before I watch any of the Disney stuff. Baptist 702, shout out to Eric. Also, how long do you see the Ripperverse going for? I plan to work on my character, hopefully to integrate him into the Ripperverse.
I'll go as long as the customers allow it to. So if that's 50 years, I'm a relatively young guy. So if that's 50 years, great. I'll do that. I'll go as long as y'all. Well, obviously it's on us to keep giving you material that you enjoy. Otherwise we'll end up like Aftershock. But we want to make sure that you guys are set up. And as long as you guys are buying the product, we'll be around.
Do you have a length for any of the stories, or are you kind of just doing it like old Marvel style, like putting pieces together and then building from there? Or
it just depends on the individual character. I will say this: all of our books as of now, we're not really releasing like floppies. All of them are massive, so Chuck's upcoming books 90 pages, over 90 pages. Sasuke's upcoming books 90 pages. ISOM 2 is 112 pages. So, but it is a 3-part arc with ISOM 1. ISOM 1, 2, and 3. So ISOM 4 would be a different arc. So it just depends on that individual characters, and we have ideas, but this is what I tell my audience all the time, that it's not necessarily a challenge. It's just that you have to take this into consideration, because you don't want to end up like George R.R. Martin, where you're relying on like shock jock stuff to sell a book. So we don't write for the now. We write for, hey, this is a vision, and we have to consider 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And it's very difficult to do that. And not everybody's going to understand that, which is why, we start off with ISOM. It's very kind of low to the ground, not no intergalactic, interplanetary stuff, because I have to take into consideration years to come, and I don't want to be writing myself into a corner. So, we take our time with it, but I will say all the books are massive, so we're able to tell a lot of story.
Very nice. Federico De La Casa once again from Italy. Eric, hate is free, working is tiresome.
It's true.
Man,
True.
That's why he's got the guns. He's always working. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Bringing it the gun show. Angry Canadian says, Eric, thanks for shipping to us expats. Are you thinking about bringing Ripperverse to Comic Cons overseas? I've got contacts and fans in Japan if you need assistance.
Oh, well, I would go. If we build a demand, that's one thing you find really quick as a business owner, that America is not the only damn place in the world. So, if we take our, that's what, after ISOM 1, our biggest thing that we wanted to address was the international shipping, for example. And we did. So if we look at those numbers, like what are the other countries that we're just getting a huge demand for, right? It's the Canadas of the world. That's the most obvious, UK, all that, and whatever's in between. So if we are building an audience in that area and it makes sense for us to do that, absolutely. I would love to maybe get to some point at that our stuff is translated, in various languages. I would love to do stuff like that. It's about building that demand there, and if it makes sense, it makes sense. So it's not that we've had plans to do it, but will we do it?
Got to get there.
Yeah, we got to get there 100%.
And in the translation stuff, my friends over at Iconic Comics are doing that. I believe the Common America are being translated, and H.H. German from Sigma Comics, he's actually released his comic books in a manga format that reads, right to left, and is in a little booklet format. And I think a lot of people are trying some really cool stuff that I imagine you'll end up incorporating once you see what works out. And the fan base will absolutely keep growing. Caleb says Mark Brooks is looking for an enemy because his favorite enemy isn't the White House, which gave him and Slot a purpose in their pointless lives.
Yeah,
Mark Brooks making noise again?
Again, man. Again. He came out. We announced our fan art contest yesterday.
This is who it was.
And and of course it was. And he had me blocked for a long time. And then he unblocked me and decided to publicly call us shitty because we have a fan art contest. And it's like, it doesn't even make sense. The company that he worked for just had one last year in Marvel. That he said absolutely nothing about publicly. It's just only when I do something that he has an issue with. But I guess
that fan art you're doing is supporting Trump somehow. I just know it.
Wait, it is?
Of course it is. It's a massive conspiracy.
God damn, man.
To him, I don't know. One way, shape, or form, it always links back to Trump. That's for sure.
Oh, that's funny. HH, I just mentioned him from Sigma Comics. Rest in peace, Skipntosh, passionate voice for comics. Absolutely. And he was a great friend. And, when we talk behind the scenes, obviously we talk about comics and movies and music and sports and all that stuff because he was very passionate about it. But we talk more about being Christians and being dads than anything else. That was like his main priority in his life. And I think that's why he was always able to look at the bright side of things, because he always had his priorities in order. And there aren't enough people out there like that, in my opinion. Nerd says, money seems to follow Eric. He shows up, and the most chats I've seen is here. Well, maybe.
We're
getting there. Thank you very much for helping out the channel, Eric. You show up in the super chats.
Hey, man.
I want everybody to get paid.
Caleb says, also the Craven trailer. What's your opinion?
Oh,
It looks better than Morbius.
sure.
Glass half full.
Not exactly a high
It can
bar.
be fun. It's not fun. Oh shit, Doc's here.
I know.
I already had to talk for 30 minutes. Doc normally doesn't shut up. Very nice.
You said we were going to be positive.
Well, I guess that kind of silenced him.
Silence Doc.
You have any opinions on that Craven trailer, Josh? I mean, you're the film guy.
Man, it looks like a really nice Catman film that Sony's got going on there.
Weird. Their weird side universe doesn't work. They should concentrate on that Across the Spider-Verse stuff. That's the stuff that's going to make them a lot of money.
Yeah, double time
Agreed.
it, man.
Yeah.
I just don't understand.
Also says, hey, Rippa, now that you're here, can I ask you this again? Are you going to send Wes and or Doc a copy of ISOM? Wes supports digital and Doc has Split Comics. Hey, you don't want to send me a copy of that thing. It's going to cost you $40.
If they want it, I get it to them, man. Yeah, I remember you did. You asking me like, hey, can you get it to him? I'm down. I'm down to get it to him.
There you go. Doc he hasn't quit comics altogether, right, Doc? You just don't read new comics specifically from Marvel and DC.
I don't read new comics.
Well, ISOM's a new comic. There you go. He did quit new comics. My goodness, he's such a sourpuss. Callum says, is Secret Invasion supposed to be based on Soviet spies and sleeper agents?
The TV show, yeah, they're pulling heavily from that. So
It's supposed to be the Kree Skrull War or something, right?
Yeah, they're going way more personal with the show, and they're kind of abandoning the comic. It's another instance where the creator, the director, was told not to read the comics, which pisses me off. But
not a smart policy. Mr. DC Comics, question for young Rippa: in your opinion, did Goku replace Superman? And is it the reason why so many kids of today don't relate to Superman?
Like you're talking about from a cultural standpoint, not in America sense. No, I mean, look, Superman is something. In America sense, I know we all like to know who Goku is. He's one of the most notable, like obviously manga anime characters ever. You know, it's not going to change. But like, it's something about Superman that transcends like all of that. Like in America, I can't speak for the rest of the world, so I don't think it's replaced it. But yes, obviously the truth is that youngsters are trending more towards. It's not even close. Trending more towards manga than they are comics. But like when you think of the Supermans and the Batmans of the world, though, like that transcends comics. That's like something that is so it's like part of American culture. Both of those two characters.
It's like
animal.
It's like a Nike swoop.
Yeah,
even.
exactly.
You know, like people all over the world have a Superman or Batman tattoo or something like
Right.
that. You know, a shirt. It's in all the Targets. You know, but Superman's not as relatable, I agree, because a lot of people will come in the comic store and say, I don't really like Superman. You know, they always like the Batman or the Daredevil and stuff like that. And at one time, Superman was king shit, and now it's just kind of hanging on. Even if it's as good as it has been lately, Doc should be reading that one.
Absolutely.
The last issue was amazing.
It's crazy the way things are going. Superman is no longer the second highest selling like comic character of all time. They've been passed by One Piece, and One Piece is going to be passing Batman in the not too distant future. And that's in the hundreds of millions. We're talking, I think Batman's over 600 million. Superman was over 550 million copies, I believe, sold. So it's pretty well-known stuff. Don shouted 24, two of my favorite comic YouTubers together, proud Ripperverse supporter here. I can't wait for ISOM number 2 to arrive. F the haters.
Yeah, man. Very soon, next month, it'll start going out. So we make sure we have our books ready by the time we actually launch our pre-order campaign. So
absolutely, you won't have to wait very long, and that's always a good feeling when it comes to these crowdfunded comic books. And love getting people from other YouTube channels that the fans like and bring them in here. And I don't know, it feels like a big WrestleMania moment or something, right? The Mega Bucks or the Mega Powers. Those are the good guys. Cal Lyle, the showrunner for Invasion was told not to read the comics. Yeah, Josh said that. That's just stupid. Why would you not read something that your show's based on? Absolutely dumb.
They do it in comics that way also.
That's very true.
Very
Comic
true.
writers that don't read comics, yes. Plenty.
I didn't expect Rhino to be in it. I was surprised to see blood. I admit I did like the mech suit Rhino, but that was a letdown.
What's more surprising is the guy playing Rhino is the guy that played Billy in Jurassic Park 3. Like, so, sure.
Jurassic Park 3.
What,
That's
so
the
no
really,
Paul
really
G-
bad one.
Yeah, it's the guy that stole the Velociraptor eggs is the guy that's playing Rhino.
That's the one where they decided to put the T-Rex in New York and make it a Godzilla movie. It did, right?
That was 2.
That's 2?
Yeah,
3 is
and
the
then
one where
there's even
Goldblum
like
Jurassic
comes
Park
back
2.
with the daughter, right?
3 was the one where they were on the other island.
Yeah, they were all bad. I can't believe I liked Jurassic
Oh.
World there for a minute. I feel like I got bamboozled just like I did with what was the first Star Wars reboot Disney did.
Oh.
Good. Stephen Maisie, what do you think? What do you all think about Marvel resetting the Ultimate Universe and ignoring all the stories the maker has been in?
Are they ignoring the stories that the maker has been in? I mean, he's just going forward doing his thing now.
They're recreating it, but it won't be the same universe because there's going to be flaws in it now.
For sure. I think if it could take on all the shit that is happening bad in Marvel now, leaving Marvel to be good again, or just letting that be bad and the Ultimate Universe being good. But the reality is it'll be a lot of everything we see just being in the Ultimate Universe too, probably.
I'm excited about the Jonathan Hickman kickoff to this. The first issue
Yeah.
was good. You know, $10 is a lot of money for just like a 50-page
it's a
comic
lot.
book, but you know, it was exciting stuff, and I think it'll be well executed, and you can get excited about it. But once they said that we're expanding the Ultimate Universe and we're going to bring in all these other creators, I was like, nah. That's probably not
Deja
gonna
vu
work.
all over again. on
I
that
read
one.
House of X Powers of 10. And I remember what happened.
Mhm.
Didn't
We all
exactly
do.
go well.
We all do. I'm not gonna. The problem is though, Doc, is some people got out when maybe the end of the first Miles Morales thing, and now they're back, maybe possibly for this new Ultimate Universe, and they don't know anything about the Hickman X-Men and all the years in between that.
Well,
That's a possibility, is what I'm saying. You know, if you're lucky enough to get anybody to come back that cares, they'll be like, oh wow, I haven't been reading this shit. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect. Teeny Howard on the horizon, you know, or whatever.
hey, there's a new sucker born every minute.
Well, that's wrestling and carnivals and comic books.
Absolutely. Federico De La Casa says, I've grown up in the 70s with anime, comics, and Superman is still relatable because it's an archetype like Jordan Peterson, often in reference, and that's why SJWs are poisoning them, because they know they mean something. Man, grew up in the 70s, so Jim, in the 70s, you already had a car, man.
70s. I had like 7 kids by then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, you're talking 1870s, right? That's what I think. But yeah.
They certainly do go out of their way to deconstruct everything these days, Jim. That's the worst trope in comic books of the last 10 years.
Yeah, it is true. But with this whole thing with Hickman and this Ultimate Universe, I see some people arguing about continuity and how it's leading into it. But yet everything they're talking about, you know, getting upset about losing, they've already said they hate it anyway. So I don't get it. I mean, just go with it and see what happens. And I'm looking forward to it, like you said, until I kind of heard, you know, more people being involved, and then you do get that Hoxpox kind of feel again. So I hope that it doesn't come down to that.
We shall see what happens. So you read this week's Tom King Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to talk about that on the channel with Monday with Doc, but I thought it was weird that Tom King managed to deconstruct a character that he just created.
Also, it's just weird overall. And I said, you have a celebration of Wonder Woman, supposedly, but instead of even showing what Tom King's going to do in September with Wonder Woman, you have her daughter deconstructed before knowing her. And I got in some arguments with people that everybody reading that, I just read what's on the page, and you're trying to go with it. And they're like, well, you got to realize that this probably happened up till then, and this might have happened, but you don't get that. And how can he not just have fun with one character one time to get people excited and, you know, a little bit positive towards his run in September? I don't get it.
Because he doesn't know how to have fun.
Exactly. I don't think he does. The funny thing is that he ends up writing, every time he says he writes strong women, which I disagree. He has one-sided women characters that he always says he bases on his wife. So I don't know. She might not be that nice, I guess, overall.
I see a divorce happening.
Yeah, it's
soon.
very odd, but I think he likes it. I think he's into that sort of thing. But
That might
I
be.
just make one character likable. That's all you need to do.
This is what Cal Miles says. That was him, I believe, talking about Craven. So it's not in the Andrew Spider-Man world. Is he talking about
Andrew
Tom Holland?
Garfield?
Andrew
Yeah.
Garfield Spider-Man world? No, it's in this Tom Holland one. So I guess we'll
Well,
never get a Spider-Man Venom movie.
So, it's
My
not even-
assumption is that the Tom Holland Spider-Man is also in this other universe with Venom, Craven, and Morbius, correct? Because we saw Spider-Man in the background in the poster or whatever.
it's a different universe. Tom Holland's in a different universe because Venom came over into Tom Holland's universe for like a hot split second that they did nothing with. People are hoping Andrew will be the Spider-Man, and it didn't happen.
How do you screw up Spider-Man and Venom?
I don't know. They've done it twice now.
Holy
They-
cow. I mean, like, Jesus. Just, Jesus. Stop screwing these things up. It's so simple, you know?
Well, we need the Ripperverse to go out there and buy the rights to Spider-Man and get this
Oh my
stuff all in
God.
order.
Yeah, Eric, can you hop on that?
It'll probably be
this rated, we'll
made
make
in
it happen.
27 years.
Yeah.
Spider-Man was created like 62 years ago.
Maybe there'll be a licensing in the future. You know, you never know. Maybe not
It's gotta
movie
be.
style, but, you know, comic style.
We've got HH from Sigma Comics once again. Shout out to Thinking Critical Team. People like Rippa and EVS have shown creators the way. Instead of hating, thank them, then follow their path to success. Only 1 week left to Here Comes Calico Manga Volume 2 on Kickstarter. Absolutely be supporting those guys because they are blowing up. They're at every convention. HH is always out there hustling, always be selling. That's what that guy believes in. And, it's smart for the smaller creators to be looking at an Eric July or Ethan Van Sciver rather than a Mark Brooks if you actually want to make some success.
Especially if your aspirations are to make money in comics. I
Yes.
mean, that's for sure. And look, to be fair, most of the reception that we got has been completely positive. I don't want to undermine
Absolutely.
that. We've shown a lot of love to people there's people that have been inspired, and to me, that's what it's about, because I know there's those that look at this industry like it's a fixed pie, which they are economic illiterate. So that's not surprising by any means, where they think that just me seeing success to the level that we are means that they don't see success, and it's not how it works. The pie isn't fixed, and there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to gain from being an independent comic book creator. And, most people, to be fair, have taken that approach. There's just been a few that certainly haven't, and they've opted to start hating.
No, when we had the interview, I believe last week, there were lots of comments, and an overwhelming majority of them were very positive, very supportive of what you're doing. We're happy to see us get together and talk. But yes, there were some people that were critical, and they weren't just like, I don't know about this guy. It was like, I hate this guy.
Yeah. It's polarizing. It's
the
crazy.
haters are not I don't know. They're going full blast, but that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Keep losing and have fun with that, because I don't see the success waiting down anytime soon. Nerd says, I keep desperately trying to get people to visit the site Comic Book Newsstand. As impactful as Ripperverse is, it can't do it alone to shift the tone of the comic book industry. There are many great ideas, but it's too segmented.
Or maybe indies.
You see that?
Eric July absolutely cannot fix and save the comic book industry on his own.
Wow.
He can have his own success, and he can certainly lift up some other people that want to go along with him and ride that wave of success with them. But he's probably not on his own going to be able to fix everything about that. And there are a lot of segments out there. And eventually, I do believe it'll get smaller and smaller and smaller. Then everyone will have to work together. But
Well,
it's too cliquish, is what it is. You'll
work together, or just like occupy the same space. Like, obviously, Eric's created his own space. A few other people have also, but ultimately they're working with other people that set up the infrastructure to be able to gather the money or ship the shit out or whatever. So like Amazon, why are they so great? They got their own fucking trucks, you know, and on and on and on. You know, you're never going to be able to beat them, but maybe you can possibly. The thing is like the broader things get, sometimes like the local community thing can be more desirous, and there is an importance to being in a store. Just right now, Americans don't seem to care about going to stores for the most part, regardless of what the store is. You know, I can get my shoes online. I can send them back for free because they didn't fit quite right, like it said. And I can do that with pants and underwear and food and comic books. And it's a different world right now. But
there's an app where you can take a picture of yourself and it'll know what your exact measurements on the suit. And it'll custom tailor it to you and send it right to you.
There you go.
Fit like a glove.
And it might come from like who knows what country. You know, that's another thing.
China.
Probably. All right.
Yeah, it's an interesting place in comic books. We're certainly transitioning to a different model. It feels like a lot of the old people are stuck in the old ways while other people are pushing forward on a new path. And, you know, eventually those bigger entities will try and catch up and we'll see what happens. But, you know, I don't mind a little competition. I think it's good.
The thing that's different about Eric is that you have such a quantity of people that are buying stuff, not a few people that are buying something in mass amounts. It's not like you're offering like, you know, and this isn't the slam against anybody. It's not like you'd have a ton of different covers or anything like that. You know, it's just a few. But you know, you're getting a lot of numbers of people buying the books, and I'm assuming a lot of it is just, you know, it's a big number of books is all I'm saying. And
man, like
it's so different.
It's insane the amount of books that I guess it shows that you can be competitive in this market. You know, when I look at these graphic novel sales, which is what they classify ISOM as, I mean, we're destroying all these guys. You know what I mean? As considering the numbers, and that includes the Marvels and the DCs of the world. They're getting my true.
I did a video on it, and your sales on ISOM #1 for a month would have beaten every single manga edition except for one volume. I was like, well, that's pretty impressive. And you would have like done 20 times the amount of sales of the top selling DC book.
Yeah. Like that.
It's just mind blowing.
Yeah. It shows that it's a doable thing. And I think that a lot of people are so protective of that status quo because it comes with a level of uncertainty and unfamiliarity. I think for everybody, top to bottom, from the creatives to the retailers to up and down. And for me, I welcome the uncertainty. I mean, that's just who it is that I am. I like decentralization. And yeah, maybe the comic book industry isn't going to look like the one of old, but that doesn't mean that there won't be successful entities that may be smaller than what they had been before. And there may be more of them. It might not be maybe the day of the mega corporation is over in terms of them dominating the market. And I welcome that. Like, even if I didn't have a spot, even if the Ripperverse wasn't one of the ones that are selling to the volume it is that we have, it's something that I'd still welcome, because I think that the industry has a lot of catch up to do with the economics of it all, and just the overall model seems to be archaic and outdated in terms of how we just do business. And you know, for example, what crowdfunding did, that introduced an entirely different game to the industry, to the point to where we took that model that they did and made it our own, right? We said, all right, well, we'll pre-order it. I'll front every bit of the money, so we'll have all the material. But, you know, we give them a level of transparency that the people get in the crowdfunding space, where people can see that number always go up. They can see how much of each book sold, you know. So we took that model, which is actually, you know, it's relatively new, and we implemented it in our own way. And obviously in the next year or so, maybe there's someone else that does their own spin on that. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that. And that's cool. That's cool. But a lot of folks that have a spot in the status quo aren't going to like that, because again, it has its level of uncertainty, and that scares the hell out of a lot of people.
Risk absolutely blows a lot of people's minds. We got a $50 holler, man. Thank you so much to Justin Adams for supporting the channel. Can Chip Zdarsky write the boat on Batman? The Green Arrow and Green Lantern, how are y'all liking them? Also, I know Tom King gets all the hate, but he has to be better than the ones that are on Wonder Woman right now. Also, will there be an Aquaman book? Can Chip right the boat on Batman? I will give you my opinions, and I'm going to throw it over to Jim from Weird Science here in a second. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe not. That first story arc with Failsafe was really, really hot. Obviously, had the Jorge Jimenez art. Jorge Jimenez had to step aside and go work with Mark Miller for a while. Mike Hawthorne came in, and the book just went somewhere weird. He can probably bring it back, but I don't foresee that one happening. The Green Lantern book from Josh Williamson is absolutely good. If you like Green Lantern, it's a really good book. I'm sorry. If you like Green Arrow, you'll like that book. Green Lantern from Jeremy Adams, I like it as well, but jumping into an event 2 issues into the book is probably not the smartest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was very frustrating, but he certainly gets Hal Jordan, and I like where he's taking the character. Will Tom King be better than Clunrad? I would assume he has to be because he's a better writer, but after reading his short story in Wonder Woman 800, maybe not. Trinity comes off as terrible. And will there be an Aquaman book? Absolutely. We have this Aquaman movie coming up. There will be at least an Aquaman series, mini series, and I imagine an actual Aquaman ongoing by the time that movie comes out. Jim, I'm going to throw it to you as I step aside just for a couple minutes.
Yeah, I think Chip Zdarsky probably could write the boat with Batman, but I don't know that DC will allow him to. And you're going to end up right after this roadblock of a, Night Terrors with a K, or as some people I saw called Night Errors, which made me giggle. The idea that when you come back to that, it's going to tie in with a Teenie Howard book. So that has a very big possibility of just destroying anything with that. The Green Arrow book I really do like by Joshua Williamson, but it's really tying in heavy to a lot of the things leading up to it, including Dark Crisis. So it's not a great jumping on point for real new readers, but I think that after this first arc, I think that we can get going with that. Green Lantern by Jeremy Adams, I think, is really, really good, and people can check that out. And the thing with Tom King, Tom King gets hate, and the hate that he gets is justified a lot of times. And the thing with Wonder Woman, and the thing that's getting me upset as a Wonder Woman fan and a comic book fan, is I don't care if Tom King can be better than Clunrad. Clunrad sucks. I'm sick of saying in this stuff, well, it'll be better than the shit that came before. It has to be way better than that. And it's still, I'm worried. We'll have to see how it is. But even with this Trinity story, it just shows that he doesn't want to change up his game, which that's him. But I need the book to be way better than just better than Clunrad, because Clunrad is just a series of awful writers that don't get the character or don't have a story to tell on Wonder Woman. And I hope that at least he has that. It might be polarizing. Maybe it'll be good, but I'm not just going to sit there and say, well, it'll be better than Clunrad, because that is a very low bar. It really is. And I have heard that there'll be an Aquaman book by the end of this year. That was the rumor that I heard, that they will get one going. And obviously with the movie and stuff coming out later, they would have to have it. But it's one of those things, a lot of fans of different characters are like, oh man, they're really dissing Wally West. And Aquaman hasn't gotten anything, and they really need to get a Aquaman book out there. I think that they might be waiting for the return of a Justice League book, possibly. I don't know, but I hear that it'll be by the end of the year. But Josh, what do you think about Chip Zdarsky and Teenie Howard? I had to throw the Teenie Howard part in.
I don't think there's much hope there. Look, the biggest thing for me is Green Lantern. I feel like it's such a good book, and I hate that it's getting derailed by this hiatus. And as for Tom King, it's like you said, like, how excited can you be when you're saying, hey, your shit is shit, but it's better than this other shit?
Yeah. A lot of things nowadays are like that. It's like, hey, but I'm not as bad as that person, but you're still bad. But hey, you have to elevate it.
All I have to say is we just need to keep in mind that Trinity is the bestest. Okay.
Yeah, the bestest superest.
The bestest superest.
Oh my goodness gracious. Now, also, I want to tell everybody, because a lot of people that I talked to after they read that Wonder Woman 800, they weren't aware that when we get to Tom King's run in September, Trinity isn't born yet. She isn't even born. So everybody who said, oh man, I can't wait to see this Trinity, man, I'm going to be back in September, she's not going to be there unless they play the game of having some. It doesn't look like there's a backup. I think there'll eventually be one with some future Trinity stuff, but she's not born yet. So you're going to have to wait.
With that, actually.
Now, I think that's what they should do.
Bitch,
Yeah, just have some backups and show some stories and whatnot. But, when you get there, the big mystery is who's her father. And if Tom King goes by his usual script, by the end, it'll just be ambiguous. It'll end up where you'll have 3 options, and it might be one of those, and then it'll just, go away. So I think that it's more of the idea that he put this in as an artificial way so he can finally get to that number 100 issue on some character, because he'll just draw it out for all that time and they'll have to let him stay.
What we really need to figure out are the 3 excuses for each of the 3 and why they're not around as a active fatherly figure.
Yeah, exactly.
One went to go get the milk, never returned. One is like, oh, I just kind of wish my kid would die, and then the other one's probably going to be,
Is this just like a real long? You remember when Murphy Brown? Do you remember that program by any chance? She got pregnant. Nobody know who it was. That was a big thing or whatever. Yeah. That's what this Wonder Woman's going to be like.
It will be. And Tom King, I mean, if you know his background or whatnot, he has some issues with his father and how he had been. I think that's what it's going to end up being. It always ends up. He writes books for people to, read through as therapy.
Yeah. Self-help books. That's Tom King's books aren't.
I think it's self-loathing books.
Yeah, it's self-loathing books.
So thank you very much to Justin. I gave you my thoughts. It sounds like the panel had a good discussion, probably mostly about Tom King and what a terrible comic book Wonder Woman 800 is. Don't worry, Doc and I are going to get into the details. If you have to see it to believe. That'll be up on Monday. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Lane Kramer says, "Oh, just for the Doc review, Suffering Volume 3. You sure you want it to be Power Girl #1? Joanna Starr is writer of Fire and Ice. Welcome to Smallville." I think Power Girl #1 is going to be perfect for Doc to suffer with.
Oh, yeah.
Rough.
What do you think, Doc? Oh, he's out. He's choking on that down on the heater. What am I thinking?
Rough. That's going to be the worst.
Federico de la Casa, deconstruction is okay if you know how to fix it back, like Alan Moore knew and loved the material. These writers are narcissists who don't love and can't write.
And this is the thing. A lot of the writers now, like a Tom King, why they deconstruct things. They deconstruct a character to then, through a run, bring the character back to square one. And then they get applauded by people. Like, oh, my God, you did it. You made this. No. They just got back to what they destroyed before. It's just nonsense.
Go read Born Again and see how it's done.
Yeah. But that was a long work. That was a lot of work that he put in to get to just those 6 issues. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of stuff in between. You got to that point also. Denny O'Neil and Mazzucchelli were putting in the work, necessary to keep the title going, and they weren't deconstructing or changing anything that happened beforehand. They were continuing it. Anyway.
Daredevil is a popular character to deconstruct. Everyone's broken him down and brought it back up. Callum says Tom King's kid looks at him and says, "Daddy, how do I put myself up for adoption?" Because come on, man, that's no one said that.
Thank God it's not last
my kids
week,
say
man.
that.
Hold on. If his kid read Strange Adventures, his kid might be thinking that. Like, let's be honest.
No, that's what his kid would be like. "Daddy, why don't you love me?"
Yeah,
please. Jim, your son is 25 years old. He still wants to be adopted.
He does. He wants a sugar daddy, is what he calls it now. But still,
Oh, jeez, I'm not going there. Hold the Truth Hostage says, "Deeply sorry for your loss, and hope to hop on. As 4 USA Comics haven't lost, think about it. Bad Comics still not one manga live action film with global success."
Not one manga live action film has made a global success. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, but manga's making so much money, they don't need to make a movie to get like the.
Everybody thinks everything ends in freaking movies. Can I get from Eric July just one guarantee that just one of your things will not be adapted to a movie? Just one. That's all I ask. Just one.
I'm game for that. I'm game. Certain
right,
things are
just one thing. I'm not even asking ISOM. I'm just like,
gotcha.
One other thing.
Gotcha. I got you.
And at the very least, not a goddamn side character like Craven. You know what I mean? Please. Jesus Christ. You. What is fucking Aaron
Taylor Johnson? He's a superstar.
Trying to keep.
I do like it. I do like Aaron Taylor Johnson.
He's not a superstar. He was the worst thing about Godzilla. was like, get this guy out of here. Get the Breaking Bad guy back on the screen. He was interesting.
What's the anime manga that they're going to make a live action of coming out?
Piece.
Oh, it's One
It was
Piece.
One Piece. It already started.
Yeah, it looks bad.
Yeah. It did not
I've
look
never
good.
seen or read One Piece. I've sold the shit out of it. But I laugh. That's what I do. I laugh.
Gallup says, Eric, your reaction you made to that word salad guy. You should print that on a t-shirt and sell it.
Oh, that was that one of the monetize you haters. I remember that where I was just looking off into space. Yeah, because it's not oftentimes I get duped. That was the time the stupidity was so strong that I was like, I have no idea what this guy's talking about. Yeah,
it happens. He had some game face on it, probably. Hi, Dice says, hey y'all, I'm an Eric July fan turned comic fan. I found your channel defending Eric from the Twitter weirdos. Been keeping up since. I salute you. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you're able to find the channel, and I'm glad that you turned into a comic fan. Not everybody starts out here. I know Weird Science, Jim, he started reading comics in his 30s. I started reading comics in my 30s. And it's a great place to be. It's the best storytelling medium in the world, bar none, Eric July.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Not even close. So keep on keeping on, Hot Dice, and really support really appreciate the support. Cal Mile. Lastly, Eric, who or what is that dick guy who wouldn't stop shouting at you and hates marketing in that debate?
Just an edgelord, nobody important.
There's some dick guy that was yelling at you?
Yeah, he was screaming, literally screaming at me. Because he thinks that he says ISOM is what did he say? He said it was a marketing success, but it wasn't a creative one. And now he said that ironically before we made another $1 million. So yeah, he's eating a lot of crow right now. But yeah, just a little edgelord, just a little ankle bite.
Why does everybody want to debate you? Do they think you're stupid or something?
I don't know. It's impressive because like I got more known by doing that, debating people, and I haven't lost. So it's like you would think people would understand, like, okay, this is what I think. It's less of underestimating me and more of overestimating their own intellect more than it is anything. So I think a lot of these people think I'm gonna be the guy to take them down, and they're just not as smart as they probably debate themselves in the mirror and stuff in the shower, and they're like, I got this guy figured out, and then they go into it and just make absolute asses of themselves.
The shower is definitely, I remember, that's where I get my angriest probably.
Yeah.
Oh man, I should have fucking said this.
Yeah.
But the thing about debate, you can debate and you have a subject. Everybody that I assume is going up against you has a point of view, but when you're debating, it's like you might not believe this point of view, but you're trying to win this debate. You know what I mean? And that's a little bit different than arguing your point, just because they come in and they have a point of view and they want to. I don't imagine. I mean, I can only talk about ISOM. I don't like that you're successful, so I'm going to fucking take you down a peg. And these are my things, right?
That's really what it is.
I mean, maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's like, oh, I don't like you for whatever other reason there is, and there's, I'm sure, that's whatever. Yeah. And I'm going to get on my soapbox and I'm going to debate you if I'm lucky enough to do that. And it's fools, you can't always argue your point, because your point is going to have almost every point of view has some flaws in it, and it can be exploited if you're not good enough at it.
It's hard to debate somebody when their opinions aren't solely generated through emotion. Mm-hmm. Like they actually have read stuff and they've come to these opinions or perspectives over time, through life experiences. Then they can actually explain exactly why they feel that way, even if you disagree, and then you lose your mind. Because, oh no, he made a really good point. I better call him this and that. And then it's like, yeah, you just lost.
Yeah.
You forgot to back up what you were saying. You're just yelling about him. You didn't even say what he said was wrong. You just said he was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it goes. Callum says, on Titty Howard, she takes ideas of magic from other works. Zatanna drawing chaos to use magic is that Harley Quinn is from The Witcher. Yeah,
you say so.
She's really into Dungeons and Dragons and LARPing and stuff like that. I bet she's read a lot of different ways to develop magic. I don't know.
She hasn't
Not a
figured
good
out how
comic book.
prisons work. I know that. And that Catwoman, it's just ridiculous.
You mentioned
But-
LARPing, and I'm trying to imagine her like running in a field with a foam sword.
No.
Uh,
Yelling
yeah,
magic
absolutely.
missile.
No, she's
Magic
magic,
missile.
so she throws
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Throwing Bane bags
Fireball.
at people.
Yeah.
It's a fireball. Being back in the
You
face.
hit me in the eye with that. That might be how she has her little Tina Fey thing.
Maybe.
Maybe.
You know, maybe she LARPed
Old
into
LARPing
a-
injury.
That's what it
Bean
was.
bag right to the face.
It was a fireball to the face. Get it right.
Magic
Yeah,
missile.
this is-
Magic missile.
It was just a branch as she ran away from whatever foam sword was attacking her, and she just turned and was like, fish hooked.
Yeah, nobody in comics gets how prisons work. That's one of the weird
No,
things I noticed.
no.
That's pretty much across the board. Terrence Bernard, with San Diego Comic Con dying, do y'all think we'll see a renaissance in any creators taking back the comic circuit?
I don't
think
know
we're going to
about.
see a lot more comics at Comic Cons. You know,
Well, I
I
don't know about. I don't know about the Comic Con. I mean, they price themselves out of small, vendors coming across country to sell to people that don't want to buy comic books, So, as far as indie creators, you can go through. I mean, how often do normal people that go to cons go down Artist Alley and actually buy from artists?
You don't
and
really
stuff
need
like
that
that.
anymore with crowdfunding and DeviantArt pages.
Yeah,
and
I
you can
agree.
have your own website. You don't need to go travel the circuit to get your point across or just get awareness out or sell your wares. You can do it. You can do it from home. You can still do the hustle like HH and them do, which is obviously really effective. But there's so many different ways to get the word out about the comic now.
Small comic shows though are important, and I
They're
think
cool.
like a independent creator could really blow up at those, potentially, but it's usually going to be somebody that's a little bit more classic, I think. And
There's
you gotta
nothing
get to
better
that
than a small
situation.
Comic Con when you go in there and they got that shop that you've never actually been to, and they got their back issue long boxes, and you start going through. They're like, "Oh, thank good! I found 5 comic books that have been missing. I couldn't find in my town."
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like gold.
It is.
Yeah, Max got the Green Lantern fridging issue for $1, and it's in
Oh,
relatively
man.
good shape.
Really?
So I was like, all right, you can
Nice.
find little gems. Maybe not
Comic
like
book
pricey
that put
ones.
Gail Simone on the map. MHXA says Eric is a goat for debating a dude who told him something like people in the comic book industry need to struggle and be broke. Everybody was like, huh?
Yeah, that was the guy that I was looking confused at when he literally said that. He was like, I shouldn't have been selling it for the price that I'm selling it. He's like, the only reason you're profiting for it is because of the price. I'm like, are you just like giving me props for being a good businessman?
You're so smart.
Well, that's what I was about to
God
say.
damn you.
It's business. Like, let the market dictate what they're willing to pay for it. Like,
Exactly.
if they're gonna come in and they're gonna pay money for it, like, all the power to you. You win, But I think it also says something when people are willing to pay. Like, okay, so if you're selling just an issue on its own, how much is it at retail? That Eric?
112 pages, $35. $35.
Okay, which honestly is 112 pages at $35 is not freaking expensive.
Wait a second.
But you've got a 10-page.
I don't know about
or
that.
A $10 comic that's released as a floppy. Like,
Yeah, it had like 60 pages. It's almost all of it. What are you talking about? Everybody's bitching about a $10 book, which was $9, and it's Jonathan Hickman and folks, and it's a lot of pages, and it was super
I said it
exciting.
was good. I said the price was just a little high for her.
Yeah.
Did have
Well,
about
I'm-
15 pages of non-story though. You had some
Yeah.
sketches and things like that, and some people like those. I don't care about those.
That comes with big price
Yeah.
books also. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
That's the
saying
thing
Eric.
I
I'm
don't
just
get,
I'm being
Eric,
real.
When you look at the Kickstarter, like they have the Kickstarter campaign and they break down the finances, and it's like, oh, if we get this much, I'll break even. And it's like, why would you want to break even? Don't you want to make some money? You actually had to go out there and market the book yourself. You had to go.
problem. But that's the problem with the
logistics.
industry. The problem with the industry in itself is all these broke motherfuckers are trying to dictate what someone that makes money and what they're supposed to do. And it's like, I'm in the business of making money. I'm in the business of doing this. Isn't just simply a passion project. I'm not knocking those guys that do that, but I don't get to expand unless I profit. You know what I mean? I don't get to bring Chuck Dixon on unless I profit. I can't bring the Soska sisters on unless we profit. And us being our own distributor, like that's extremely important to what it is that we do. So You know what I mean? Like, for example, with our stuff, you know, the price is technically cheaper than what it did with the first book. The first book was 35, but it was 96 pages. But hey, I went back to the negotiating table, you know, talked to different printers, and here we are. You know, now it's cheaper, and that'll continue to climb down as we have more under our belt and are able to negotiate the price to be down, which does nothing but benefit our customers. I also don't print my shit on baking paper like the entire industry does on a shitty 50, 60 pound stock of glossy dog shit that they give everybody else. You know, I'm printing 2 grades above the, and it was Smythsonian, but ISOM 1 was Smythsonian, and I printed 2 grades above the industry standard because I don't want people, I don't know, ink rubbing off on their hands as they're trying to read these books. So, you know, to your point, it's like the price is the price, and you know, the market's dictated that that's very competitive. And I think that's what a lot of creatives have done themselves in and trying to operate on a model where nobody's making money and they think everybody else is supposed to do that. And it's like, that's absolute nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. I'm not knocking anybody for doing that, but we can't say that is a problem or say that that's how it should be and then turn around and there's a big hashtag called comics broke me. There seems to be some discrepancy there, and we got to talk about the economic problem if we're going to you know, actually address it and fix it. But the price point is in itself an issue, and I think the creatives and more so business owners have to dictate what it is that their audience is willing to pay you know, for it. I don't blame anybody for not wanting to spend $5 on a book that has 22 pages and 5 ads in it, 6 ads. I can totally emphasize with that, you know, on baking paper on top of that. So, you know, that makes all the sense in the world. But, you know, for something like ours and, you know, other guys that are doing bigger projects, set the price where you can make some money, not where they think that the rest of the industry is at, because the goal should be, if you're trying to expand, is to make money. It's not a charity. You are in it to make money.
Caleb says the women in One Piece are way above a D cup. So there's that. And I'm glad I can make Josh laugh. Well, at least we got some big titties on One Piece. Nothing wrong with that.
So I'm ready for the live action movie is what your program is what you're talking about.
Apparently, you can check it out. Nerdy Girl says Yule, Rodi Kenshin live action movies and Alice in Borderland are good adaptations of live action manga.
All right. Excellent.
There you go. Thank you for setting us straight, Carrie.
I'm not watching
the manga expert.
I'm done with action adaptations.
You're done with live movies. Action. After the Flash broke you?
No, I mean the 80s and 90s broke me. Why? What? You know, I don't need to see anymore.
Justin Adams says, Detective Comics, something I never hear y'all talk about. Thoughts on it? World's Finest, Teen Titans. Are we excited for that? Shazam seems really good. Action Comics and Superman seem really good. Is DC turning a new leaf? DC is much better today than it was 12 months ago. There's certainly better comic books out there with your Action Comics, with your Superman, with your Shazam, World's Finest, Green Arrow, Green Lantern. There's some really positive stuff out there. I do not like Detective Comics. I thought it was an interesting start for Ram V, but he went too far into the Ram V specter on that one, and it's way too slow, way too introspective. Not enough action in those. Obviously, Shazam is a pretty damn good book. So, I don't know, Jim. Are they turning a new leaf before we get into Black or Night Terrors and they turn it back?
Yeah, it's the worst that they're ending up putting. I said a jumping off point when you have a lot of good books right now. Detective Comics. Never talk about it because it's boring as shit. And I warned you, Wes, way back. It just nothing is happening, and Batman's doing nothing in that book. I'm a hater. I don't like that, but I really do like Ram V's Vigil that he just started out. I think that's a pretty good book. But yeah, Detective
you
Comics,
like Spirit World #1 as well. So
I did, but I hated the second one. The first one was decent. The second one was bad. I review each one as its own entity. So that second one was garbage. But World's Finest is great. That Teen Titans book, I'm excited about it. The World's Finest Teen Titans. Shazam is pretty good. And Action and Superman are as good as they've been in quite some time. So I really do think that there is some really good stuff about it. It's just that Night Terrors, I don't understand. I mean, I wish that they could just pull that back, have that come out in October as its own thing, October, November, around the spooky time of the year, and not shut down all the books. I mean, they're shutting down most of the books, and that's just such a stupid idea. Some of these which have 2 issues in, and then you shut them down. And it even affect the pacing of a lot of those, because you can't set up a lot when you know you're going to shut down for 2 months. So it really, I don't get it. But right now is a pretty good time if you haven't been reading DC to jump back on. Maybe wait till September, catch up with those other things, and then get going forward.
Absolutely. Nerdy Girl creates anime and manga will hold San Diego Comic-Con together.
It'll just be an anime and manga convention then.
Hey man, there's nothing
what
wrong with cosplay. I can dig it.
It's one of the worst things to happen at comic shows.
Look,
cosplay?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it was.
You don't like sexy girls in costumes?
You know what, Doc? Tell me about cosplay, please.
All they do is just take up fucking space. They're literally there. They exist to take up space.
And
they photo ops.
Don't take a picture.
Yeah. Don't you dare take a fucking picture of the people there demanding to have their fucking picture taken.
Some of them are cool. I mentioned this 2 weeks ago, a week ago, whenever. There's this weird trend now of like dudes dressing up as women in the women costumes. You know, a lot of moose knuckle action going on.
So you like
it,
is what you're
No, I even passed on that. I was like, you know what? I could have gone without seeing that. I'm sure Eric saw some of it at Fan Expo. But what I was going to say is at Dallas Fan Expo, like manga and anime, that was most of the convention. Like when you walked on the floor, it was a ton of manga and anime.
I've heard that about Texas, man.
There's a lot of manga and anime guys out there for sure.
This is almost 100% true, Eric. I don't know if you have experienced this. Almost everyone that says something really outlandish that requires me to ban them from my channel permanently on YouTube has an anime like little fucking lolly girl.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's accurate. That's accurate.
like, Jesus, man.
That's accurate.
Back it off. We don't talk like that around here. This is it's not kid friendly, but can't go that far. Those guys, they go too far. My goodness. I don't know if I want to be with friends with those people. I hope it doesn't save San Diego Comic-Con. My goodness. Callum Lyle, on what Eric just said, they want everyone to be equally poor, so that's why they can't afford a laptop and pay rent.
Eat their cat's food. Yeah, that's true.
You know, a lot of those people on that hashtag, I've never bought anything from them, and I buy a lot of obscure material.
I hadn't heard of most of them.
You know, you can comics broke me all you want, but you know, it broke me too, to the point where I freaking own a store because I'm still stupid.
Well, you got at least an editing credit there, Yule.
I did. Well, no, I didn't. They just forgot to take it off. The editor was so bad that they didn't take my name off of it.
You win.
I win.
There is a comic book out there that says Yule
go
Carter
find
is an
it.
editor.
Go find it.
The Boxing Historian 206. Salute to the panel and Eric. This ISOM campaign got me back into comics. This current woke culture that we see in comics, I saw coming back in 2013, and that's when I stopped reading. I hear this stuff a lot, Eric, where people get fed up with comic books. They don't know what's good and what's not, so they walk away. They discover my channel, and every week we go out there and we say, these are the comic books that you can depend on. These are the ones that are good from indie creators. These are the ones that are good from DC and Marvel. And at least gives people an in to go to their comic book shop, see if they can find an issue, and not have to put up with all the garbage.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be more few and far between, at least in comparison to years past. And I mean, big shout out to that guy for at least tapping out when he did, because it took me 7 more years before I was like, I was 2020 when I finally said, fuck, man, I'm done with this. But yeah, it's you know, like I said, there's a demand, and there's other issues that are beyond just quote unquote woke. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit up here and act like there's not a problem. It absolutely is, but there's also other issues between all the reboots and all that sort of stuff that they've had problems with, that I can see where the Ripperverse and ISOM becomes more intriguing, because we have a code of ethics that says we're going to stay away from that type of stuff. People are getting in at the ground level. They're getting in at the beginning. So people that maybe once felt intimidated to get into comic books, if they were intrigued by the whole universe setting, this is a time for them to get in. So I totally understand that. And that's the cool thing about this whole project is that I've seen a lot of people say that like this either got me. So a lot of people this is their first comic book they ever bought. Some others that they've been comic book lifers and kind of fell out of favor with it, and now they're back. You know, that's what it's about. If we're injecting any sort of life in this industry, man, it could use it, it could need it, and I'm sure that's gonna send people down a rabbit hole to maybe even go check out other material that isn't related to the Ripperverse, and that's what it's about. I want this industry to thrive, despite all my haters, and they might not think so. I want this industry to thrive because I actually give a shit about it.
Absolutely. I feel exactly the same way. Lane Kramer says, I loved Incredible Hulk #1 by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Go read it. That may not be in our Best of the Week segment that's going to be up in about 6 hours here on the channel. But yes, I agree. Did you read Incredible Hulk #1, Yule? Because I thought it was good.
Oh, yeah, I did. I liked it. It had a... They introduced us to the villainy that's going on. They introduced us to what Bruce Banner's going through, and they gave us a new side character that's kind of reminiscent to how dumb Hulk was in the 80s and 70s. He always was hanging around Jim, or he had the dude with only had one arm, and stuff like that. So this damaged young woman. It looks like she's going to be hanging around. So I thought it was a really good first issue. Great art. Nick Klein's really good.
Absolutely. Eric O'Sullivan jumps on top of that one and says, PKJ and Klein's The Incredible Hulk #1. I actually bought a Marvel comic, bagged it, and it was magnificent. Great stuff. I'm in. Rippa, what are you reading?
Oh, nothing. To be completely honest, like as far as like modern stuff, look, man, I'll get the independent stuff. There's obviously manga. I got Naruto right here and stuff that I'll just read on occasion. But as far as like keeping up with modern stuff, two things. I don't even got the time to do that. And like I said, I fell out of favor. I canceled my pull list. That was in 2020, and when I finally said I'm done, it was right after War of the Realms going into absolute carnage, and I was like, these guys did an event right after an event. I'm done with this shit. Like I don't have and like 90 because I was I'm a guy that definitely used to pride myself on being knowledgeable of all this stuff. There's 75 different books, 74 of them don't even matter. I was done. I was done. Like I said, it wasn't just the woke stuff for me. It was just continuity issues. There's 75 spider folk running around. None of this shit makes any sense. It doesn't matter. Like, why am I? They're clearly not making the books with myself in mind. So I was like, you know what? I'm out. And then I created the Ripperverse, so it's all good.
I got a tricycle right next to me. My goodness, these guys are so loud. The boxing historian, ISOM, the new Alpha Core, Void Rivals, and the new Transformers comics from Skybound are going to be in my pull order. I will never forgive IDW for what they did to the Transformers comics in the late 2010s. Nobody will. Those are absolutely awful. It's great that they lost that license because they were doing nothing with it. And me personally, I know you, Carter, you disagree with me. I couldn't be more excited for Daniel Warren Johnson writing and illustrating Transformers. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, one day, like at the beginning of the year, I was like really about, I'm going to try and manifest, some good things happening in the world of comics. And one of my things, my prayer to the comic god was that Daniel Warren Johnson would do something of importance this year.
Well, thank you.
And unfortunately, I just don't think Transformers is it.
It is. It's going to be great.
I hope it is. I hope it really is. You know what? I think at the end of the day, it's going to make a lot of money. You talking about people that make a lot of money? His shit goes for crazy amounts of money. Felix art and stuff like that. And Daniel Warren Johnson's going to make a ton off this. Whether or not Kirkman's, whether this thing's going to be a big deal, I don't know. I reserve judgment.
Sounds like the boxing historian has a pretty decent pull list from my perspective. And if you like boxing, I'm also a big boxing fan. We got some interesting things percolating in the boxing world right now. Even the heavyweight division's pretty good, which is exciting. It's probably been dormant for like 15 years. Cal Blyle says, cosplay, come on, man. I see work and dedication, and I would go to an anime and manga SDCC. Doc won't because he hates foreign comics and names. Doc just hates titties. That's why he don't like cosplay. What's wrong with you, Doc?
Yeah, I absolutely, of course, I hate titties.
Tinnies? Is that what you said?
He said titties. You don't like cosplay because they take up too much space when you're trying to look through your dollar bids.
Yes. I'm not sure what the confusion here is.
It's not even
Callum's just giving
cosplay.
me some crap.
I mean, when it used to just be a few people, it was like really cool and something different, and maybe something for someone's significant other to do when they didn't really give a shit about where they were. But it was more about comics still, and it's less about comics. And well, what happens when Hollywood doesn't have any movies coming out, San Diego? You're screwed now, huh? Because nobody cares about comics anymore.
Do y'all remember when Yule used to be really nice and fun, and then he became the enemy
jaded.
of fun?
He took on Doc's personality.
Yeah, it was the other day. No, Bull.
He's been beaten down.
Yeah,
I look. Come on, like Eric. Well, you know what? I'm still in it, buddy. I'm still dealing with this shit. And yeah, every order book is a fucking pain in the ass. I mean, you guys don't know what it's like.
You don't know what it's like to have a YouTube channel. All these people
that's successful. You're right. I don't. But that's the only part. I know the other part.
I guess that was me to say. Marginally successful. The only successful YouTuber here on the channel, obviously, is Eric July.
Oh man,
we're all playing. We're all playing catch up.
I'm not comparing.
Yeah. Nerd says, I struggle with seeing the value in comics because of Doc. God, Doc, good job. His temporal reasons for leaving comics sometimes saddens me about the comic book industry. What the fuck, Doc? You're ruining people's experience with comics.
Yes.
You drove him away.
Yes, that is my goal.
But Doc, there's always something still good out there. Mainstream even.
He didn't even read the Mark Silvestri Batman book that he'd been waiting for a
there's
decade.
That. Daniel Warren Johnson did do
Battle
that Beta Ray
Chasers?
Bill.
Yeah.
Battle Chasers, even though Joe Mad's not doing any art, is come out. There's, and it doesn't even just have to be that. I mean, there's the massive verse is going on right now through Image. It doesn't wholly suck from what I understand. But even the mainstream, there's still sometimes some good stuff. There's always those little nuggets. You gotta come back.
Come on, Doc.
Come on,
Stop
Doc.
bringing
Come
people
back.
down.
No thanks.
All right. We're not bringing it back. I'm sorry, nerd. You shouldn't watch the videos with Doc in him. He'll only bring it down. So let's talk about this thing that's going on with Warner Brothers Discovery before we run out of time. The DCU is supposed to be a big deal. They brought in James Gunn, obviously from Guardians of the Galaxy to the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker. They got Peter Safran as producing partner. They're trying to launch this damn thing. And Josh, nothing will go their way. Everything they've released since they've announced the DCU has been getting smaller and smaller. It looks like perhaps The Flash is going to have the biggest week 2 drop-off like in the history of movies or something like that. Maybe 72% for a movie that had already flopped. Maybe the DCU is already dead because the DCEU is still going. They still have Aquaman. They still have Blue Beetle.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I think the writing was kind of on the wall with these films. The moment you said like, all right, we're going to relaunch the universe, but hey, we've got all these other films we need to get to. And anyone that was expecting the Flash to do well with the world of drama around it, like I don't know.
The trailer was good.
I mean, the trailer was fine, but you've got plenty of people that don't want to see the movie because of things outside of the movie itself. Like they don't like, you got the Ezra Miller problem. You got the fact that this doesn't ultimately matter, but you're still trying to act like it matters. I mean, they even kind of touted that this Flash film was going to help set up the launch of this DCU, and it doesn't. And on top of it, already like they had to have known. Well, I say they had to have known. I think we've seen.
They said it was the greatest superhero movie ever made.
Fucking A, it was not. It was not. It was okay at best, and that is being very generous. But I mean, it's like you already know that you're going to have box office problems because of Ezra Miller, because people are kind of losing interest in this version of the DC universe. But then because you can't promote it like you typically would, because you can't throw Ezra Miller in front of people because you don't want the questions about like, so hey, how was it grooming children? Hey, how about the time you choked that lady out? They do all these fan screenings and like, hey, the people that were going to pay to see this just went and saw it for free and then came back and were like, yeah, it was all right. Like.
You think Colbert would ask that question of him?
Who?
You think
Stephen
like
Colbert.
Colbert would ask that question of him?
Oh, I promise you, pretty much any media outlet would ask.
Well, it would get him in front page news on basically everywhere for at least 5 minutes.
They didn't even want Muschietti bouncing around because they knew they were going to ask about Ezra. Like,
did you take the time to go see this Flash movie, Eric, July, or have you actually bowed out of comic book movies too?
Oh, I tapped out. I tapped out on that. I think, what was the last
it
one I
Endgame?
saw? No, it wasn't Endgame. It was, I think for Marvel, it was Black Widow. Did the Snyder Cut come out after Black Widow? I think it
so.
did.
Yeah.
I think it did. So that was the last thing. And I was, I feel like my best comic book video I did doing the history of Justice League, all that stuff came out of that. And then I said, fuck this. I'm out. So it was right about when I in my pull list. So I was like, I'm sorry. I cannot do this anymore. But more so, I will say the Ripperverse was a big part of that. I think if that hadn't been a thing, I would consider it more. But going into trying to this massive venture that I was trying to get off the ground just consumed so much of my time and effort and attention. So that's a big deal. So maybe I would have stuck around maybe a little longer had I not had something percolating. But I don't know, man. It's real hard to say. So yeah, I didn't see Flash.
Did you like the Zack Snyder Justice League movie? Because Fatal J told me it was amazing, and I disagree.
Yeah,
it's not amazing. I will 100% say that there are bits and pieces that I was okay with, and I did that in my review. It was like I like the pace of it and all that good stuff. I think that they went with the worst version of the Justice League to draw influence from in the New 52, which I thought was a fucking bonehead.
All the Jeff Johns stuff to tap into, you went with Justice League?
Yeah,
yeah. One thing nobody really likes.
That was so stupid. So there was some deviations that I obviously had some issues with. I didn't hate it though. I wouldn't say I've seen certainly worse comic book movies, but it was fun for me because I took a trip down memory lane. And like I said, it was like an hour or so long video that I did where I went through the history of the actual Justice League in comics, and then I reviewed it in the same video, the Snyder Cut. And I think that was maybe there was some obscure like Marvel. Oh no, maybe it was one of the shows, because didn't that Scarlet Witch shit, did that drop after that too? Maybe
I think Scarlet Witch came before.
Okay. Yeah, because I do know that Black Widow had
WandaVision.
Yeah,
WandaVision. I can't remember if that was after or before, but it was around that time when I believe
WandaVision was before the Zack Snyder Justice League movie, because it was one of the first things on Disney Plus.
Okay, so that was for sure. I think, then the Snyder Cut was the last thing that I just watched comic book related and did a review on for sure.
Bad.
Yeah,
I can tell you, I went to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. If you liked the first movie, even if you didn't like the second one, because I didn't, I liked it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Not really going anywhere, but it was at least enjoyable. So was that Spider-Verse movie. But obviously that was animated.
Yeah. Look, I typically tend to be a little more favorable with these films, just because I'm ever optimistic and hope for the best. But the Spider-Verse films, Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, totally worth your time. So
there you go. We shall see what happens. We actually got Yule Carter to go see this Flash movie. You supported the enormous bomb. You took all of your
second week.
You took all your customers from your shop there.
Not everybody, but we got a little group together and we went. We planned on going that day, and we went. Nice reclining seats and everything. It was super loud. It was an all right movie. I don't really. So I saw Nerdy Girl. She said creates that Ezra Miller should have never been cast, and I totally agree.
I agree.
Totally missed the opportunity of linking the CW or the W. What is it? WB, CW, whatever the
CW,
CW world and the movie world by just having for those few minutes in that Flash in the Justice League movie or whatever the hell it was with that Grant Gustin guy. It would have been like, oh my God, there could be someday when we would see these people potentially and never have to do it. And it linked everybody together. And I think it was an obvious miss. And especially with Ezra Miller. I mean, he might not be Hollywood enough for a movie, but Flash was so many other characters that weren't Flash. in it also. You know, it was like, did you know that this Batman was in this movie also? And
I can't believe they brought the Clune back. Of all the Batman to bring back, the Clune?
The ladies like him.
Not Batman, they didn't. The thing was just trash.
He didn't look like Batman at all. He looked like George Clooney to me. And the ladies I hear like him, but they don't like Ezra Miller, I hear.
No one does. Ezra Miller's just a weird guy. I don't get it, Josh. They try to make him a big Hollywood star, but even before I knew all the shit that he did, where you know he's like choking people out, he's starting cults, he's grooming, like he just is always just creepy, no matter what he was in.
I mean, it's one of those things where a couple of his earlier films, he was playing a creepy character. So, you know, you kind of had to wonder, did that play into it? But I never felt like he was, you know, blockbuster material. I think he's more of those, like, stay on the indie scene. Maybe you're in a blockbuster film, but you're a supporting character. I just don't think he's got the right charisma to lead a film. And that's not meant as a
It's like the guy that played Hector Hammond in Green Lantern. That's always in indie movies, and every once in a while he shows up in your big screen film.
Yeah,
Skarsgård.
Yeah, because Ezra Miller at one point he was building a lot of momentum for the quality of work that he was doing, and then just it all started falling apart. The Flash casting, agreed, was not a good casting, and then the personal stuff got in the mix, and it fizzled out real fast.
Yeah, even ruined Harry Potter. How could you ruin two franchises?
I didn't mind. I didn't mind him in the Harry Potter movie, the Fantastic Beasts movies. But again, he's playing another kind of creepy character, so it worked for him.
So, I don't know, Josh. I know you are more optimistic than me, but I don't think that they just can't lose this much money.
No,
over and over before they even release their first movie. There's no way Zaslav's going to go along with this.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how damaging this is, because we need to keep in mind the entire reason they pushed Aquaman back this last time was because they could not foot the bill to do the marketing rounds at the end of last year. It's also the reason they pulled stuff off HBO Max, because they couldn't afford to pay royalties. So they're not in a good spot right now. And if you've got another 2 films coming that are going to bomb like this, like you got to figure something out. You have to.
Maybe that's why they're selling off their movie music library.
Probably
$500 million.
Just you're gonna see other things for sale soon.
Absolutely. Like, why did they even make the Blue Beetle movie? Originally, it was supposed to be an HBO Max movie. That kind of makes sense. With Blue Beetle, nobody knows who the character is, and even that, it's the Jaime Reyes version. It's not even the one that people really like. Was it Ted Quarter or whatever? Yep. And then all of a sudden they're like, "Well, we got the guy from Cobra Kai. Let's put it in the theaters."
The whole theater aspect, I think the theater aspect is because Zaslav is more of an old school type film guy, which honestly we're seeing studios kind of revert back to. We're seeing people revert back to traditional.
You will make more money in the theater than making movies for your streaming platform.
100%. Unfortunately, we've gotten to a point that we've said these films do not matter. And that's just going to turn people off. And they've tried to turn face a little bit and put everything in reverse to be like, well, Blue Beetle isn't the first movie that's in this new DCU, but he is the first character. And I'm like, I smell something and it's called bullshit. I've smelled plenty of it in my life.
We called it the New 52 back when I opened my store. Well,
you might want to get some of these characters right. You never even released a good Green Lantern movie, and you're going to Blue Beetle. I just don't get it.
I
don't know, man.
Ain't nobody asking for that. But maybe they'll do a really cool high school movie, and it will be.
Nobody was asking for Blade, and it was awesome, but I don't think that's possible here.
Yeah.
Man, you remember the Blade movie, Ripper? That thing was so awesome. I had completely unexpected. I didn't even know who the character was at that time.
Yeah, that was out of left field. That whole trilogy, and obviously that took that character. That's a rare instance where that takes a character to a new stratosphere in that adaptation. And obviously Wesley was just a hand and glove fit for for that character, man. It's just
he thinks he still is.
Yeah, he is. He literally is.
He can do it.
Vampires aren't supposed to age, dude. Half vampires don't age either.
Although Blade Trinity was pretty awful, except for the what was it? Ryan Reynolds was the only good thing about that movie, and Triple H, who was.
I was about to say, how dare you disrespect Triple H like that? That was the highest quality acting ever in film.
After I guess The Rock became a movie star, so Triple H decided he needed to be one.
Yeah. Well, they even suggested like, oh, he could do like Conan, you know, and it's like he's got the physique for it for sure, but I don't think he could like. He doesn't have the same presence to be on TV or movies that way. TV Conan he could do, you know.
Yeah, but if it was like that, what was that Hercules show with Sorbo, where it was like
it doesn't have to be super tongue and shit. Yeah. I think he could do it legit. TV Conan.
He wishes he's not cool
HBO
enough.
Conan, you know, he could do that.
Lots of sex, so people will forget about his acting.
That's right.
Yeah, that was some pretty interesting stuff. We shall see, because the trending numbers are looking very, very bad for this Flash movie. Like, it looks like it's actually going to make less money than Elemental in week 2, and Elemental, like, opening weekend was half of the money that the Flash was in. Like, it's almost unbelievable that could happen. I think the Spider-Man movie is going to outdo it, and it's been out 2 or 3 weeks longer. We do have a few super chats. Let's hear from the peoples. Chris the Bliss from right here in the PI. Thanks, Doc, is the new thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Doc.
Oh, man, Doc.
I hate this comic. Thanks, Doc.
This is a good thing he's out choking down on the heater.
Well,
Caleb says, is Doc not talking because he wants to be negative? Yeah, we said we were going to be more positive on this show, and he's definitely been more silent.
I just ain't had nothing to say.
This is because we're trying to be uplifting and lighthearted, you know, with everything that's happening today. Don't want to bring people down too much. Dill Lindsay, hello all. Nice to see Eric July on the channel. After watching Yule's rant 2 weeks ago about the best Spider-Man writer-artist, showed just how vicious he can be. He was like the ultimate nerd bully.
For sure. I was channeling Doc, and I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry at the same time. It wasn't writers. It was just.
It feels like you would have shoved Fatal J into a locker and closed the door.
Please, Fatal J wouldn't fit in a locker. What are you talking about?
Don't do
that. You know what? That's like part of the comic book conversation that a lot of people aren't. You know, we got a little.
I've never seen you be aggressive before ever in your life. We start talking about Spider-Man artists. He says Bagley's #1, and you went Red Yule. I don't know what it is.
It was great.
What if they call it the Demon? Did you go full Finn Balor?
I did. I was the Irish came out of me. The little Irish there came out.
I mean, I got a little turned on. What can I say? So
no.
I'm flattered.
Callum says, I want DC movies moving forward, or I don't want DC movies moving forward, and James Gunn is a liar. And yes, Josh is 100% right. Ezra, yeah.
Look, a lot of people are going to hate on James Gunn right now, and he's not the guy to hate on at the moment. Like, none of this shit is his. He's probably being fed things to say. Like, he's got to play company man. He's got people he has to answer to. He's fighting a losing battle. And I you know,
agree.
if we love comics and we want to see good representation of comics in other media, you need to want things to do well. You need to want these people to do well. Now, if they don't do well, it's fine to say this was terrible.
I wish they'd stop for 5 years and then try.
Agreed. Over. Just take a break. I mean, at this rate, it's going to take a while for Superman to come out. Like, just freaking take your losses. Put Aquaman on HBO or Max, whatever the hell it's called now. Put Blue Beetle on Max. Just let them kind of go there quietly, have their quick little bump and be done, and then just breathe before you get.
Give him the Batgirl treatment. Just take the tax write-off.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like the Aquaman movie was testing well either.
It wasn't. It's not.
That movie made $1 billion, so they better hope that I don't know, Japan and Korea and China didn't turn their backs on him because they supported that movie big time. Callum says, and the Blue Beetle director wouldn't shut up after the Batman remark. I don't know what he's talking about there. It'll most likely blame the white man if it flops, like Indiana Jones Part 5.
Oh, probably the Batman's a fascist line.
I think there's nothing wrong with blaming the white man for not showing up, since it's the majority of who you're trying to get in the movie theater, probably. I think that's perfectly okay. But you know what? There's other people that didn't go see that damn movie either.
Well, I heard a rumor that if Eric ever has a comic that doesn't like launch successfully, his backup plan is to blame the white man.
Oh yeah, that's in the back pocket. That's the ultimate Trump.
Goddamn white people!
God damn it, fucking whitey!
That's your heel turn right there. I like it. I like it. I'll support your heel turn too. Just to let you know, you can always come to me when you're ready to do that.
Always blame whitey.
I've been looking for a different angle on my show, so you know.
Hey, I'm wearing my Caucasian shirt today.
Well, it looks like the Redskins logo. Maybe the greatest shirt ever made. Callum says, and who spends $300,000 on crap VFX and then brags?
Oh, nice.
And then
Is that all they spent? They could have spent $300,000 on the Flash VFX. It's like the whole movie.
Yeah, no, they had to have spent more. It still looked like shit.
It looked bad.
Yeah, I mean, there were moments that were fine, but most of it, God, was
It's like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The first like 20 minutes of it, you're like, oh, this actually kind of looks good. And then the movie keeps going. You're like, oh, it just kind of all goes to crap.
Yep.
At least that was my experience. Exploding Pretty says, when Doc has nothing bad to say, he says nothing at all.
Partially correct. I don't get your point here. What? I'm never positive. Fuck you.
I'm positive you're an asshole. Throat is plenty.
thanks, Doc.
Hey, Doc, we're gonna need you to calm down. Your T. Franklin showing. All right, let's.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
The customers. I do want to say thank you very much to everyone for joining us. I think we had a fun show today. It went a little bit off traffic. It's not exactly what we were supposed to talk about today, but you know, we lost a good friend of the channel with Skipntosh passing away. We wanted to send out some good positive vibes. Doc stayed in the background. He didn't go too negative on the show, and we got to talk a lot about fun stuff with Eric July, special guest here. This is when we normally do our comic book recommendations, Eric. It sounds like you're not reading as many new comic books as you used to. Would you like to recommend perhaps a crowdfunded comic book campaign?
Oh man, well, Shane Davis has some stuff coming up as well. I mean, I would say go get Inglorious Rex 1 and 2 if you want some all ages. You can get his stuff that he's done with Starlight Cats, but he's knocking it out the park right now. So anything Shane Davis is doing is gold as far as I'm concerned.
You realize he set you wildly up to show yourself right now, and you just like this is fucking T-ball, and you just straight win.
Oh, really, man?
Hey, man,
I like him putting out somebody else.
I'm a humble man. I'm a humble man.
Now, I imagine most people that are here, even if you watch the channel, you're probably subscribed to the Ripper's Young Ripper channel. But there is a link to his YouTube. If you want to check out his ISOM campaign, there's also a link to that. If you missed ISOM number 1, you're like, I don't know what to do. There's a number 2, but there's no number 1. You can get the first issue there as well. And that is all in the video description. Thank you so much for joining us. I know we're a small YouTube channel, but you're an enormous nerd, and that's what we do. So you fit in today, and I think we had a lot of fun. You own a comic book shop. Are you going to recommend some new comic books?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to recommend Superman number 5 and the enormously egregious priced $8.99 Ultimate Invasion number 1 also. Those are 2 really good books. They have great art. And
the Jimmy Olsen stuff in Superman is awesome, by the way.
Dude, I had a real good, off the top of my head review of it that went like a minute. And there's a cliffhanger at the end. The reason why the cliffhanger happens is because Superman is as strong as he is, and that actually affects him in a certain way. And it's just everything is really, really good. The art's excellent. That Jamal Campbell's like, man, DC has some really, really good artists. If someone's looking to swoop in,
hit me up.
I mean, seriously, like if Mark Miller can do it, I don't see why you can't. But I'm gonna have Joe Corallo on my show next Tuesday, and we're gonna be talking about Days of Future Past. Yeah. So
the old school one or the relaunch with Guggenheim?
We're gonna be talking about it because I want to lead into the Guggenheim one. that's what got me to think about it. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, thank you very much. Yule also has a YouTube channel, Fantastic Comics. There's a link in the video description. We've also got Jim from Weird Science DC. He's been outlawed by DC Comics. They will no longer allow him to review their comic books for free. He's got to go out and buy all the comic books. He has a family of 5 boys. He's broke. Definitely support Jim. And he's got great opinions on comic books. How you doing, Jim?
Oh,
what
lovely.
Are you recommend?
Well, I'm going to go with you. First off, they not only, said we're not going to give you the review, they actually apologized that I will no longer be reviewing comics because I couldn't possibly review them without them. But I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go with you with Superman #5. It's really, really good. The problem I have, though, is at the end, that cliffhanger is great, but we're going to have to wait until the end of August to see what's going on. And that's,
the annual.
It kind of sucks. Yeah, the annual's at the end of August. And then the book will get back in a week or two after in September. So we still have to wait a while, which sucks, but maybe that'll get you all excited for it and whatnot. But I'm going to go Superman #5, Batman, Superman World's Finest #16. I continue to love that. And Incredible Hulk #1 by Philip Kennedy Johnson over at Marvel. So I have 3 books to, get excited. And there's some other ones too. It was a pretty good week overall.
Absolutely. There are definitely some standout ones there. Josh, you have Popeye culture. You're blowing it up. You got more of a podcast vibe going, I believe, every Tuesday now. Aaron Sparrow, I think, is your permanent co-host there. Yep. Lots of exciting stuff. I think you got a big announcement coming up on that channel, like an exclusive and stuff like that. Really happy with what you're doing there. Are you recommending any comic books?
I will say World's Finest, definitely get it. The Vigil 2, get it. I've got a stack of books I haven't read yet. I was without power for the past 36 hours, 48 hours. So
you couldn't read comic books by daylight?
Well, if I'm home for daylight.
Oh,
yeah. I was getting home and trying to read what I could when I had daylight, but I can't do the whole flashlight thing and the glare. And I was like, I'll just wait.
Not with that DC paper.
Yeah, not with that DC paper. But yes, we do have an exclusive announcement coming up. I'm just waiting to find out when we can announce it. And then in July, we'll be rolling out graphic content, which will put a focus on, different graphic novels. And we talked about indie creators. And when I was at Dallas Fan Expo, I purposely went around trying to meet different indie creators. So I'm partnering with each of them to try to get them on the show. That way we can promote them and get their books out there. So.
Very cool. We do have a couple of super chats we'll get before we start heading out and talking to Doc. Gak812 says, hey guys, sorry for your loss. Eric, will there be a limit to the short boxes to reduce the shipping? Was hoping to order a 4th cover plus short box together.
No, they're not. We're not limiting the short box at all. That'll be hopefully ready by the end of next week. I still need to get it. The art is, man, it's killer on it, but we have to get it colored. As well, but then we'll get it added to the campaign store because it's printed right here in Dallas. There's not going to be any problem with us getting as many of those as we need, so we won't really cap it. So we might limit it to the campaign. I don't know. Maybe we'll sell it afterwards. We'll see, but you'll be able to get it, no problem.
Very good news there. Caleb says, I can only recommend what Brian Pulido is doing. Well, absolutely, you should. Brian Pulido is a genius. Obviously, he was part of Main Street Comics, and then he created his own thing, and I don't know. He's kind of the precursor to what Ethan Van Sciver and Eric July are doing now, where he decided to do his own thing, built up, I believe, his own infrastructure. He's got his own warehouse and everything. And the guy is absolutely fantastic at what he does. So great recommendation there, Cal. All right, Doc. You barely said a word edgewise. You were trying to be positive the whole show. Are you positive that people should read any comic books this week?
I'm positive that people should read old comic books. Let's go with first X-Men 102. This is just a reader copy that I got sitting around, but yeah, fun. My literal favorite Mark Silvestri cover of all times. I don't know why. It's nothing special, but it's this kind of watercolor cover. Wolverine 43. So grab that. And we're gonna go with the original version. They did a variant of it for
her butt cheeks shining.
Yep, her butt cheeks. They got foil and shit on them.
What is it? What was that, like an incentive or something like that, or was that?
They did a somebody did an homage of this one for the new version, but this is the another universe foil variant.
Oh, I see.
From
I see.
From the original run of Battle Chasers #1.
Nice.
So-
Very nice.
Yep.
That's cool.
See,
And y'all said Doc didn't like boobs. How dare
Yeah.
you? Also,
He's
I
a
just
bottom.
noted the beard game on the top row is on freaking point. People just don't know because they can't
I'm
see.
bringing
that.
the heat.
Bringing the heat.
July's got it. Doc's got his beard's down to his balls by now, but right? Oh no, he trimmed it. It's shorter than it was. Oh my goodness. Very nice. I do want to say thank you very much to everyone for joining us. Obviously, it's been a really tough day with the loss of Skipntosh, also known as Curtis Fisher, really good guy, big time contributor to the channel. Really appreciate Eric July joining us today, having some fun, speaking to the people, because they were definitely having a lot of questions about the Ripperverse and the future and all that stuff. And it sounds like a lot of people want to send you their resume.
Yeah, they do. I'm
All right, we'll see you all next weekend right here on Thinking Critical. Really appreciate it.